Hello, it's Dominique. So today I'm making the tutorial on how to make the book for this project. So I got two pieces of 6.5 because here I need 6 inches. So not 6.5, I mean 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. This is approximately 8 1/4. If you want it longer, then your cards, either they will leave some space here, either you have more cards with the same space, or you have what amount cards more with less space, so whatever you want. But I decided that 8 1/4 was good enough. Could be 8, whatever. So here I've got those two pieces that are the same. Also I have for the hand, the spine, I have another piece here. I have 1 1/4. And that also, if you want to make bigger, because you want to put more signatures, you could do whatever. Or if you want to not make as wide for no signature, as you wish. So here I decided I'll be doing the 1 signature. I've already cut 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 that I'm going to put like this, glue them together so that everything can fit inside. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to just glue those together. So I'm using tacky glue. Should have done that before. Get the glue out. So here I'm doing this. Just putting them together. And I'm using my mat here to have a straight line. So I put one on the line here, and the other one is just good as well, pretty much. So I think that the lines here you have on your mat is just helping. You can use them because it helps so much to have everything square. So here, like this, and this one is going to have, doesn't matter if it's not exactly square because it's going to be a little bit wider than your project because you're going to wrap around the chipboard. But if you can be accurate, it makes you kind of being used to being accurate. Because you have to be pretty accurate when you work scrapbooking, because sometimes little details make a big difference. So here I'm putting this one here, as long as I have like 1/2 inch on each around. So here I have plenty, so I'm going to put a little bit more. Then I'm putting this one, and when you have where you have your joint of the two pieces of cardstock. By the way, this is heavyweight cardstock I'm using. I'm pretty much always using heavyweight cardstock. It's better. I like it better. It makes better projects. So here, as long as you have your joint where you have your spine, that's all that counts. And I do not recommend that you have your joint right where your fold is. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just gonna get a little bit closer. There you go. So this one goes on too. So this one you have to leave 3 times the thickness of your chipboard. So either you put 3 pieces, 2 is a little bit too, I think it's not quite enough. So either 2.5 or 3. So you can put 3 pieces of that, you'll have exactly what you want. Here I'm going to take another piece and show you what 2 pieces makes. Still I have a little bit here. So if you have a little bit more than 2, it's good, but not more than 3. Okay. So that one is on there. So I'm just gonna use my ruler. I like using my ruler. But here when you scrape like this, as you can see, it makes kind of scraping marks here. So if it's like the black cardstock that would show, like you would have nothing on it, I would not recommend you do this because it's gonna show. So I got this too. Now I'm gonna use this one. If you use core tape, it's the same. I just like the liquid glue because you have time to change it. It's not as permanent as score tape when you work, because after you put the score tape, don't try and remove it because it's going to tear everything up. That's what I don't like about it. And also I like using wet glue because when you have anything that's going to be like a page, a card, a flap, whatever, it's going to be much thicker, much sturdier, because the glue, when it dries, it makes a coat and it makes everything sturdier. So this one here looks like it's crooked, but it's just an extra little piece here, you see, so it doesn't matter. So here I have my 3 pieces. I'm going to remove some because it's a little bit too much here. You have like 3/4 of an inch, that's plenty. here I have like 1/2 inch, stay good. So here the way I do this, I will cut, I do not cut diagonally like this. You could do that, like you do this here, you put a mark here with the pencil, you cut on the pencil, so you have this little piece here. But then what happens is that when you fold them, they might not meet here in the center. You might see the chipboard between where the joint is. So what I like to do is give more space, like more paper here, to make them really cross and meet. So I go not exactly 45 degrees, just a little bit less, and I go about, I would say, the amount of the thickness of the chipboard away from the corner. So here if I have like 1/16 of an inch thick, I would cut up to 1/16 of an inch from the corner of the chipboard, and then I just turn my scissor like this, and then I make another one. So you can see there's a V here. That's what you want to see. So I'm going to do that for all 3 of them, up to 1/16 of an inch, then like this. And also there's another, I've made other tutorials where you have another technique, the one with the strips, but depends. I used to do that all the time. Now I do this one because it's much easier. So what you do is you start folding your papers, your cardstock all around. This, fold, fold, fold. Just the first fold. You don't have to go all the way in. Just the first fold, just to show the way. Then I use either your bone folder or a ruler. I just flatten it to make sure that my fold is all the way to the edge of the chipboard. And like this here, and this one here. And you have to be careful. Don't press too hard when you get to the gaps here where you don't have any chipboard, because it might tear, especially if you're using cardstock that is not heavyweight. So here I'm going to start folding to show the way for the next fold. So I'm just going to go like this, all around. And this is, if this is not glued correctly, you just put more glue. It should be good because you put the glue all the way there. This one is cracking a little bit. I don't like that very much. Maybe because it's so hot in here. Okay, so you see that after you fold it, you see that they meet. That's what you want. You want them to cross. And if there's a little piece of cardstock here, just cut the little tip. And you've got everything nice and flush. That's one of the techniques. There are so many techniques to cover a book. That's the one I use. So here I'm going to put the glue all around because it doesn't take long to fold and glue, but it takes so long for the glue to dry. So I prefer to put it here. It starts to dry, so when I come and fold it, it's going to stay there. So now what you do, you go from the outside in, like this, and then you go sideways. It's not really, it's okay. I'll come back to it. Okay? Because this is what happens when you just put the glue. That's why I try to avoid when I glue, I put the glue on all edges. Okay, it cracked, but it's okay because it's exactly where my fabric is going to be. So that's good. Doesn't matter. Maybe because it was too close to the gap here, maybe that's why. So I'm going to come back to this one here. See? When you come back to it, it just stays there. So come back to this one. Now I'm going to work on these two. Just go like this. You make sure they meet. If you kind of make them so that they don't meet, you have to add a little piece of cardstock to just cover the gap. I'm redoing this here, so to make sure that, let me check this here. This is not right. It's not right because it's not going all the way. I didn't press it all the way. So you have to make sure that it's all the way in. So I just fixed it right on time. So I'm going to do this one again. Don't forget your tips. Or your corners, I mean, there. So you see, it takes like 4 minutes to make more here. Doesn't matter because it's going to be something like fabric. I didn't bring my fabric with me, but I'll be doing that offline, and then you'll see when it's done, or I'll do it next tutorial. So this one here is not totally perfect. So then I go with my ruler and I go all around to make it really flat. You can do that before you turn them and glue them on, so that you're sure that everything is going to be flat. Otherwise you might have folds. It's not very nice. And you go all the way to the corner. You check your corners. You need to trim a little bit, like the tip. So there's my book. Easy enough. So what I'm going to do after that, I'm going to check if there's any glue missing. So you take a little piece of cardstock, you just put some and then you go underneath and go like this. It's going to glue everything on there. This one here is not very nice, but I'm going to cover it and it won't show. I'm going to bring my paper all the way to the edge. So that's how it goes. Then what you're going to do is you're going to fold here and fold here. And we'll be adding some paper here. So I need either a large one or 2 little pieces. I'm going to put the 2 pieces because I don't have the large one with me right now, and I want to be as quick as I can. So here, what I recommend, that little strips to cover this, you just make them, just overlap a little bit the cardstock you have on both edges. Not too much, because you don't want to bring that all the way to the edge, because then if it goes all the way to the edge and then you come with your, you cover with the pattern paper, then it's going to show. And what you could do also is just cover this with pattern paper, and then it's going to be done. Maybe that's what I'll do now. So what I'll do is I'll bring a little piece of this. So you need to have, I would say, 1/2 inch on each side. So here I have 1 inch and I have 1 1/2. So I'm going to go 2.5 inches. Little piece like this, and I need to have 8. I'm going to trim the excess. I never cut all the way, because then if you're out of paper and you only have little pieces, you're stuck. You're in trouble. So I always cut just what I need, because maybe later I'll need this wide, like 12 on the portrait side. I mean the landscape side. So that's why I always do that. Okay, I'm going to ink this because I'm going to be inking everything. These I don't need to, because I'm going to be covering with paper. I'm just going to meet there. So I do the both sides, the top sides. So I'm going to do that on right there. So here I picked the paper collection from Preserve Paper from DCWV, because it was like vintage and writing and, you know, trying to match. Because I don't have the paper collection for the La Rouge. So here I have a little bit too much, so I'm going to cut. Oh no, I'm good. It has to go to the edge. So I'm good. It would have been too much if I wanted my cards to go here. It might go all the way here. But anyway, it's going to be the page anyways. So here is good. I'm going to go like this. And after I put the paper here, because there's a direction because of the writing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an arrow on my work so that I know what is the top. I'm going to do the same on this side, because then you don't want to end up working on the wrong side. Have something that is upside down. So always do that. As soon as you get a direction, whatever paper you put or whatever interaction or page you want to put, if it's showing you a direction, you have to put your arrows on your work so that you do not make mistakes on your direction. So I have to wait until this dries before I fold it, so that it stays all nice and glued on. And then I'm going to come back. So what I'll be doing is I'll be distressing those cards, rounding the corners, and I'll be back with making the waterfall. And we'll be covering this at the end. Also what I'll do is I'll be, one thing I should have done here, maybe leave some space so that when I come with my fabric, I have room to tuck it underneath. So I'm just going to leave some space unglued. I could have put the fabric before, it's just that I didn't have it with me, so I'm going to go get it, and then it's going to tuck underneath, and then I can glue that on top. So just leave that here so it's not drying glued on. So I'll be right back. See you later.